Good morning. Welcome to 2022 on the Dice Tower. I'm Tom Vasel. This is Board Game Breakfast, and my voice is back. Okay. My daughters said, we kind of liked it when your voice was gone, which they say every time it happens. Hey, folks, it's a new year. I hope it's a good new year. I hope it's a great new year, but who knows? I do want to say that we want to say thank you to Pandasaurus for sponsoring a game. There's no contest today, but you can still look at their great games that I have here in the back, and there are many other great games that you should check out from Pandasaurus. And there are many great games. Man, folks, if you missed it last week, we did a ton of top 10 lists. They were all originally part of the Winter Spectacular. Well, most of them were. The top best-selling games of the year wasn't, but there's a lot of great lists. And a lot of people have been watching those. We hope that you enjoy those. We'll talk a bit more about what's coming up this week, but I would be remiss if I did not say that two things. First of all, if you backed our Kickstarter last year, thank you. Everything for that's shipping out now. And two, our Kickstarter for this year, we run, everything here happens because of listeners and viewers like you. So if you enjoy our show, on the 11th of January at noon, we launch our Kickstarter, which has some gifts and rewards and stuff, but it's mostly the money is to support the Dice Tower so that we can give you more content, great content. We're working hard to give you the best content we possibly can. We have a lot of cool things planned, some new ideas and things that I hope that you enjoy. And I hope that you see that we've gotten better over the last year, over 2021, and I hope that you think that 2022, I think we can make it even better. Okay. Also, so there's obviously part of the news of Dice Tower's Dice Tower podcast is ending in about, I think it's 7 episodes or so. But some good news in that regard. First of all, we will be starting another audio show, me and Eric, which I'll give more information out. But DicetowerAudio.com. If you go there, we have a podcast called DTV Audio, which has all the audio of our big videos, our top 10s, our look backs, crowd surfing, things like that. So, I don't know what all's on there, but Wendy Yee is now putting it together. It's been a bit sporadic in the past. It is not sporadic now. So if you just want to listen to the audio of many of our videos, that's a great place to go. You can subscribe to that podcast. So you can go there at DicetowerAudio.com, or if you're on iTunes, look up DTV Audio. So hopefully that's helpful, especially to those who just listen to audio. Secondly, Board Game Breakfast is still happening every Monday and every Thursday. But I want you to realize our Thursday Board Game Breakfast is being pushed more into breakfast time at 9 a.m. So it was at 10 a.m. It's starting at 9 a.m. This coming Thursday. So those are kind of some of the announcements I have. I got more stuff. We're going to be talking about stuff all week. I'll get to more of that later. But let's take a look at one of our contributors.
Hi, this is Ambi from Board Game Blitz, and you might recognize me from covering free print and play games here on Board Game Breakfast, or from my 18xx with Ambi series where I talk about 18xx games. But neither of those are actually my favorite type of game. My favorite type of game is real-time cooperative games and deduction. Real-time cooperative deduction games. But when I was trying to find real-time cooperative deduction games, I really couldn't find many board games that fit that description. Until recently, when I realized that escape room games actually fit that description perfectly, which makes a lot of sense because I love escape room games and they're my favorite type of game. I just don't usually think of them when I'm rating games because they're one-time play. So I like board game escape rooms, but I really love physical escape rooms the most. Unfortunately, the last time I've been able to do one was over 2 years ago, before I had my kids. So for me, although board game escape rooms are a lot of fun, nothing has come close to a real escape room. And the closest I've gotten is some online escape rooms that the companies that make real escape rooms have made. But those are also priced similarly to real escape rooms, which are kind of expensive. But recently I played a new video game called Escape Simulator, which is exactly what it sounds. It's an escape room simulator. The game comes with 15 or 20 15-minute rooms that you can play through, but what's really cool is that you can make your own room and upload them. So the community has made a bunch of different rooms and you can play all of them. Escape Simulator has felt the closest to a real escape room for me because there are actually physical things to manipulate and move around and break. And although it's all just a simulation, you get to do a lot of the things that you would normally do in an escape room. A lot of the fun of an escape room is the cooperative part, working together with people, and I really like playing with my friends. Unfortunately, so far I've only been able to play it solo because I haven't had the time or the friends So Escape Simulator is really great, and if you like escape rooms too and have been wanting to try one but haven't been able to play a physical one, then Escape Simulator is totally worth it. Thanks for watching Board Game Blitz. Bye!
That's really interesting, Ambi. I have no interest, and I know maybe people different from me, I have no interest in doing an escape room virtually, like where someone else walks through the room and you tell them what to do. Lots of people told me it's fun. I just can't. Doesn't sound interesting, but what Ambi just showed, I think I would try out. I will say, though, I do agree with her. One of the reasons I would be a huge escape room person if they were free or like half price. The problem is an escape room might cost, let's say a cheap escape room is 20 bucks. They're usually more than that, but 20 bucks. If I want to go, I'm not going by myself. So if I want to take my family and 5 people, that's $100 for an hour. And that's kind of a pricey affair to do for me. And again, that's looking at the low end. And that's why I don't do more escape rooms, because they're somewhat pricey. I love the concept of them and they're very fun. So I'll have to check this out. Okay, so we're taking a look back at old-time games from 30 years ago. And that 30 years has now flipped over into 1992. By the way, this year we're calling 20 years of reviews because the Dice Tower started reviewing games 20 years ago in 2002. So this first game that we're talking about today is Modern Art. Modern Art is, well, look, I have a picture for you. Woo! Modern Art. That's the new version from CMON. The original version that I played was from Mayfair Games. Modern Art from Reiner Knizia is an auction game, but it's all the auction games. Because in this game, you're going to auction off paintings, but you do it in various ways. You might have a secret auction. You might do a crazy open auction. Might do a once-around auction. I think there's 4 different auctions in the game. And on your turn, you auction off some paintings. People pay you money. And then you get that money and they get the painting. And at the end of each round, the paintings that have sold the most, so there's different factors, you can get money for those paintings, sell those paintings for money. And at the end of the game, whoever has the most money wins. This is many people think this is their favorite game. On Board Game Geek, it's ranked 221, which is very high for a game that came out 30 years ago. I really enjoyed this game when it came out, but it has dropped for me. My rating for this game currently is a 6. And there's 2 reasons for that. One, Modern Art, the card game, I think does what this game does faster and simpler. But secondly, the auctioning in this game is very fragile for me. If one person bids too high on a painting, they just crazily outbid other people, or they pay too much for a painting, the money that they pay goes to another player, and that can swing the game. Not because that other player was good, but because the other player was bad. And I've definitely played a game, or 2, or 3 of this, where one person's won because of the actions of another player, and the other people on the sidelines are like, oh, what could we have done about that? There's not a lot you can do about that. Now, I'm sure there could be arguments made, blah, blah, blah. I think this game is an important game. I think it was worthy of its time. I don't know that I would want to play it all the time now, but I think it's certainly a game worth talking about. If I was making a Hall of Fame for games, Modern Art would definitely be in it. It's one of Reiner Knizia's best designs. I just think it's slightly dated today. But that's what I think about Modern Art. Let's keep moving.
This is a segment where we take a look at a board game based on the IP, and I tell you if the IP and the mechanisms match. Today we're looking at DC deck building game. Let's take a quick look at it. I'll tell you if it matches up or not. Each player will choose a superhero at the beginning of the game. I choose Superman. On your turn, you're going to draw 5 cards from the top of your deck, which will normally give you power, which is the utility in this game, or currency, and you'll be able to spend that power to purchase more cards. I could purchase Hawkman's equipment, and I'm Superman. Doesn't make any sense, but you can do it. I can defeat bad guys. They go in my discard pile, then they fight for me for some reason. I could just purchase Titan's Tower and have it sit in front of me and give me ongoing abilities. As you do this, you put a new card out. You discard your hand of cards. You draw 5 more from your personal deck. If your deck ever runs out, you shuffle all your discard together and draw 5 more. And what you'll be doing as you progress through the game is you'll be defeating supervillains. As you defeat supervillains, they will give you victory points, which are the stars at the bottom of the card. When this deck runs out, however many you choose to go in will be the length of the game. Whoever has the most victory points is the winner of the game. And that's how you play DC deck building game. The IP and the mechanisms match fine. I think a deck builder works with a superhero as you're going out and you're fighting the villains and kind of powering yourself up. I think it's all interesting. Probably doesn't work as well with like Superman as it does with Batman, like going out and getting his gadgets and stuff and creating things makes a lot more sense. Where Superman's just like, I'm the strongest thing in the universe. I'm just going to plow through everybody. So I think with some of the superheroes, the IP works a little bit better. Where the game is going to fail itself is going to be the theme. So like Superman's using the Batmobile and like these wacky things that are going on. You kind of got to squint and say, yeah, I'm still in the DC universe. This makes sense somehow, some way. And that's going to pull some people off. But as an entry-level deck builder, I think this game is going to be very appealing because it does have the DC IP on it. As you're buying things and they only have one currency, which is the power, and you're adding to that and you're beating the supervillains and the villains are fighting with you, which makes no sense in the thematic sense of the word, but you're learning from them and you're getting powered up as you go after the supervillains to score the most victory points. So I think that all works. He's got to squint a little bit, but kind of realize it's an entry-level game and not something to be taken too seriously. In that regards, I think DC deck building game works for what it's intended to be.
Yeah, I got to kind of agree there. I don't like DC deck builder because I think it's too random and I think the theme is actually anti-thematic. However, it's done very well and it's very easy for people to jump into hobby with that game. All right, so this week's going to be a little bit different than our normal weeks, folks. We're canceling a few of our live shows. There's no Shoots and Marbles tomorrow. I know everyone loves Shoots and Marbles. It will be back the following week, but we're canceling it tomorrow because of secret reasons, which will become evident later. There's also no crowd surfing on Wednesday. The reason's a little bit more straightforward. There's nothing on Kickstarter. So we're going to take 1 week off from crowd surfing and be back the following week. But don't worry, there are other live things coming. All the folks here in the studio are going to be doing live Q&A. So I'm going to be doing my live Q&A today at noon like I normally do. But then tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, you will see live Q&As with Wendy, Camilla, Chris, Mike, and Roy. So hopefully you get a chance to meet all the folks here at the Dice Tower and ask some questions. So we'll have live events that you can be part of there. Also on Thursday, the top 10 upcoming games of 2022. But it's the A-Team. So that is Chris, Camilla, Wendy, and Roy will be giving their top 10 upcoming games. So come and see what games they're looking forward to. And then lots of reviews. So you can see behind me here, Familiar Tales will be reviewed. Up above that, you can barely see it. That's Bear Raid is coming. Townsfolk Tussle, the new version of Summoner Wars, the Goonies game, Super Skill Pinball, and a few other games are going to be happening this week, folks. So I hope that you enjoy. There's lots of reviews that we'll be doing. We're also doing a Foursquare review of Merchants of the Dark Road. So a lot of reviews coming up this week and a couple interesting videos to look forward to. If you've noticed, about a month or two ago, Chris did a behind the scenes video that showed what his typical week is like. I did the same thing now. So you're going to see a behind the scenes from what my week looks like of a somewhat normal week. So that's going to be posted later this week. And then another video, which we'll talk about when that video comes out. So keep in mind, all that stuff's coming. The podcast goes out tomorrow. And like I said, much of this stuff is going up on DicetowerAudio.com. Check it out.
Hello everyone, I am Clara Barker. How are you doing? And I am going to be talking about board games, digital versus physical. And this week's section, whatever, I'm going to be talking about a game that I've been playing recently digitally. So I've been playing on Board Game Arena, and that game is Tapestry. So Tapestry is a Stonemaier game, and I like Scythe, but I think Scythe might be the only other one that I've played. And if I'm honest, I looked at Tapestry and I didn't necessarily think that, I wasn't too fussed, I wasn't excited about it. But then it came out on Board Game Arena and I started playing it with some people, and boy, do I like this game. I really enjoy the fact that there are 4 different tracks, and you're building your way up these different tracks, and you can decide whether you're concentrating on 1 or maybe 2, or whether you're, which ones you're doing, so you can have a different strategy each time. There's also a map, and you're sort of expanding the map, and you're putting your pieces out and controlling different areas. It's just a really interesting engine building game, and the whole point is that you're trying to get points at the end of the game. I'm loving it. I am really enjoying this game, and as much as wasn't necessarily drawn in by the theme, it is a pretty game, and so I think that I'd really love to get this to the table, and I could see me buying it if I saw it in a shop. Because I think it looks very striking and it's very beautiful. But then I think that I definitely have a better understanding of where the points are coming from if I was manually totting them up rather than, relying on Board Game Arena to do it for me. My end game isn't quite great just yet. So I think this is one that I definitely want to play in person, but I am enjoying it a lot online. And that is Tapestry. And until next time, take care and bye-bye.
Hey, welcome back. All right, life of the party. So, parties are happening again, at least in some places. Christmas parties, New Year's parties. And I saw a thread on Reddit from someone who was clearly not a board gamer, I think. But they showed up in the board game and they said, I hate when someone shows up to a party and forces board games upon everybody. And then there was a big long thread about that. But it got me thinking, because here's the deal. I don't get parties. Don't get me wrong, I like parties, right? When you have a party as a kid, what do? Everyone comes over to your house. Your mom, or nowadays I guess you go to a movie theater. Oh, I'm sorry, movie theaters are so 2019. Or some, Chuck E. Cheese, because they have the best pizza in the world. Anyway, you have a party somewhere. And you go there, and all the kids play games, and you do fun things, and you pin the tail on a donkey. Maybe that might be a dated reference to. Whatever, you do all these fun games. And everyone goes home with goodie bags, and it's great. Then when you become an adult, what happened to these fun parties? Now a party, everyone gets together and you have a dinner maybe, and then there's drinks and everyone sits around and talks, and that's the party. I don't get it. I'm super bored by that. Don't get me wrong, I like talking to people. And here at the Dice Tower, our Thanksgiving, we have traditionally for the last 5-6 years all gotten together for Thanksgiving, eaten a dinner, and played 0 games. We just sat around talking. But to be fair, we play games with each other all the time. And so that's a nice change of pace. But when I go to a party, and I go there and we do eating the food, then I'm like, okay, now what are we going to do? Oh, we're just going to talk. Oh, okay. Well, I'm done talking. Now what are we going to do? Oh, games are fun. Games were built for parties. So I get it that someone will bring this dumb game and they're like, everyone has to play. I don't think that we should ever force people to play board games. But I'm always trying to bring games to parties. This New Year's Eve, I was not able to bring games to the New Year's Eve shindig that I had because of reasons. Mostly I forgot. And I was like, oh, it's about to start. I don't have any games. All my games are at the studio, not at my house. I was driving the studios out of the way. Whatever. But I still played a game. I made a big game show, and we played a game. And some people were like, I don't know if I want to do this or not. We played it, and everyone had a good time. And some people who didn't want to play it didn't play it. But to me, games are kind of a lubricant to having a fun party. When someone says, that party was amazing last night, when you hear about these Christmas parties, it's usually like hijinks and things that people shouldn't have done. And, oh, so-and-so got plastered and you should have heard the stuff they said. That's not stuff that interests me about parties. I want to go to a party to have fun. Board games happen to be fun. So if you invite me to a party, first of all, I'm going to try to find out what kind of party it's going to be because I'm not interested in a lot of parties, but I'm always going to bring a board game in my pocket. Well, almost always. And I might say, hey, we'll play it. Now, you got to obviously read the room and see what's going on. But I think a lot of board games were made for parties. It's a fun thing to do. And again, I realize there's all the, hey, someone threw down Monopoly and forced us to play through an hour of it. Well, those are your relatives and you got to deal with it. But I found that I can preempt that by bringing in a very light, easy party game too. But maybe some of you can help me out. Besides board games and consumables into your mouth, what fun things do people do at parties? I mean, you can sit around and talk. That's great. And don't get me wrong, talking to people is fine. I like talking. But what else is there to do at parties besides gaming? I don't know. It's just something I was thinking about this week.
Assalamu alaikum. I love the Unlock series of games and I have played nearly all of them that were available in the market. But if you have ever observed that in the app at the bottom, there are also some free demo versions available as well. And I always used to think that these are just smaller demo versions of their bigger missions. But that's not the case. If you explore them, these are full-blown missions that are available for free that you can print and play. These are high-quality graphic art available on them. You can print them on cardstock or even on paper and then play them out. And these are going to be just like your full-blown missions, but given to you for free. So whether you have previously played Unlock and just want more missions, or never played the Unlock series and wanted to try it out, in both cases these missions are great for having fun with your family for free of cost. Just the cost will be of printing these cards out, and the app is available for free anyway. So I will always recommend get these printed and play with them from the link below, or you can get them from the official app. Downloadable PDFs are available through it as well. So try them out. If you like it, then you will have another fan of Unlock series like me. That's it from me. Happy gaming!
All right, folks, today we're talking about Hawkeye, the TV series. Very, very, well, slight spoilers in this review. So if you haven't seen it, go watch it. I'm not going to make major spoilers, but it's hard to talk about these things without spoiling a few things. So Hawkeye is was it 6 episodes or 8? I can't remember. It was a series of episodes on Disney Plus about Hawkeye, the only Avenger, or one of the 2 Avengers, who doesn't have superpowers, just can shoot an arrow really well. And shoot an arrow very well he can. And then, of course, a new Hawkeye, his new protege, who also, as far as I can tell, now that the series is over, she will also be called Hawkeye? Probably. They weren't super clear on that. Folks, this is a rollicking good time. Of the 4 series, of the 5 series, this is my favorite so far, but it's just fun more than anything else. It introduced a really cool new character who's supposedly getting her own spin-off series, which I really liked. But the interplay between the older Hawkeye and the new younger Hawkeye, who, by the way, did a great job, is fantastic. And the visiting characters specifically, so it's not a surprise that the new Black Widow shows up in this, because they showed us that in the Black Widow movie. She's my new favorite character, I think, in the Marvel Universe. She's just fantastic. And her interplay with the new Hawkeye was just really, really well done. The show followed a lot of tropes to some degree. It has, the person that they want you to think is the bad guy, who no one in their right minds thinks that person's the bad guy, the person that you're pretty sure is the bad guy, then the real bad guy, then the bad guy redeeming themselves slightly. But the person that you were supposed to think is the bad guy, I found to be incredibly amusing, and the action sequences in this were unbelievably good. They were better than some of the stuff in the movies. And Hawkeye's trick arrows and the things he does with his arrows are just amazing fun. Now, they definitely made this so that we can talk about this as a Christmas series. There was Christmas music in a lot of it. The whole thing takes place as Hawkeye's trying to get home for Christmas, and this stuff gets in the way. It's worth it. It's, I don't know if we're going to argue about it. Is Hawkeye a Christmas series, like the Die Hard thing? But it's a good watch for the holidays, and perhaps this would be a fun watch to do during that time. It has a nice start, a nice conclusion, sets up a few things for the future. But as a standalone thing, there might be a few things that people don't know. When we watch with my family, And when they revealed the final bad guy, one of my kids was like, "Who's that?" They didn't know, and I was like, "How can you not know?" But you know, that's fine. But you would still get, I think, how the story plays out. It was a lot of fun, and if nothing else, the Broadway sequence in this is hilarious, unbelievable, and is on my Spotify list now. Hawkeye was just rollicking good fun. I very much recommend it. Yeah, I think you could watch it, even if you're not a big Marvel fan. I think you would enjoy it because it just has that, you know, Christmassy buddy cop feel to it. It feels like one of those shows where you're trying to figure out what's going on with a lot of fun, entertaining action sequences. Highly recommend it. Hawkeye.
Happy breakfast, everyone. Today I'm here to talk to you about Ryan Knizia's Into the Blue, which is a really family weight push your luck game. Basically, on a turn, you're going to be rolling dice. It's not quite like a Yahtzee game. You're looking for like a run rather than trying to get too much of the same thing. You are also kind of trying to get a lot of the same thing. So I've contradicted myself there. But if you get 1 to 6, you get to take a chest, which is bonus points because you get to have another turn. Most of the time, though, you won't manage that. You'll get, say, a couple of 1s, a 2, a 3, and then the rest don't carry on that run. So that's how far down into the blue you get. Now, you can then choose, do you put your shells out on level 1, 2, or 3, if that's as far as you've got from the dice. But it's the number of that number you get to put out, if that makes sense. So if you've got 3 3s, you'd be able to put 3 shells on level 3. At the end of the game, whoever's got most shells on each of the levels, well, they're going to score the points, or the most points for that level. And then there's a second place, and there's also a third place, which scores the same number as second in a 4 and 5 player game. It's super quick. Anyone can really pick it up and play. The dice are nice and chunky. Is it going to keep you entertained for long if you're not in that sort of family weight area? Probably not. You might want to just pick it up and play for, it says 20 minutes, but more like 10, 15. And then you've played it and you've done with the experience. Anyway, that is Into the Blue by Ryan Knizia and Funny Fox Games, and I'm Oliver East, signing out.
I do not know if Oliver sold me on that game because that production, I haven't seen it yet. That production looks amazing, but the gameplay doesn't look like it's there. But man, it looks pretty, doesn't it? Alrighty, folks, well, that's it for another board game breakfast. All right, so the next thing today is my Q&A at noon. He's not doing what's happening today, but that will return hopefully next week. Like I said, we have a few live shows that are not happening this week, but we're hopefully filling it up with the live Q&As. And we got lots of cool reviews and things coming out, so I hope that you all enjoy that sort of thing. I'm excited, folks. I'm excited about the new year. We have a lot of cool ideas. We're not dissolving, for sure. In fact, we're planning to hopefully make things better. A lot of that comes from y'all. Hopefully, don't forget our Kickstarter. It starts next Tuesday. But in the meantime, we'll stick with you. We hope you have a fantastic beginning to your year. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching Board Game Breakfast.
Thanks for watching Board Game Breakfast. Tune in each week for your daily dose of gaming goodness with Tom Vasel and all the gang. Until next time, I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching Board Game Breakfast, a Dice Tower production.